almost forgotten in all of the action that's happening here in late 2011 as far as boxing goes, and also because it's been postponed so much, is the Super Six, and it's the final. It started, almost 2 years ago, and now you've got actually what is not a bullshit final. It's a good final.
Yeah.
It's
the two best guys by far.
Two best guys, Andre Ward, Carl Froch, and his hot girlfriend in his corner. Okay, I love her.
Yeah.
She's hot. Yeah, fuck yeah.
She's hot.
And
it makes him feel good during the rounds.
He better fucking win.
She doesn't just sit there and look pretty. She's pretty
she's
vocal on what's going on.
She's bouncing around. Yeah, I love her.
Very TV shows.
Love her. Anyway, but look, your hot girlfriend's not going to be hitting Andre Ward, and I think it's going to be.
Neither is he.
I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I'm really leaning towards Andre Ward right now. I think all the momentum is in his favor. I think the style favors him on points. I don't see him knocking out Froch.
No.
I think it's going to be less of an exciting fight than it can be, but we'll see. Maybe Ward stays in there and is less defensive than we've seen him, but that's his style, and I think that's why he wins, because Froch, that's not his style. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I always like Froch. He's pretty good. And what's the other guy's name again?
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward. Yeah.
Remember we saw him beat.
I saw Andre Ward fight before, and
Arthur Abraham.
Yeah, he's tough. He's a good fighter. I don't know. I like them both. It's kind of a toss-up.
Well, who would you bet on?
Well, Ward. I'd have to go with Ward.
Ward. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope it's not boring. I mean, both these guys are
I don't think it will
slick fighters. So you got Andre Ward, who I think is a little more defensive. Less likely to want to engage. So, plus he's a U.S. guy. So I'm going to go for Ward. But if Froch wants to win this fight, he's got to put the pressure on and keep it on, because he's obviously the tougher guy. I think he's got, probably maybe equal on power, but I think Froch could take a punch.
I tell you what,
is more likely to take a punch and return a punch than Ward. If he takes too many punches, he might just stop punching and just make sure he doesn't get hit and be too defensive and go out there, again, not to win, but just not to get hit.
You look at a guy like, we're talking about because they, mutual opponents, and that's Arthur Abraham, and he's a guy that, would literally take, more than 8 rounds to warm up and to get in there
to get the right punch at the right time.
Get in the kill zone. And Froch is similar, but it only takes him, let's say, 4 or 5 rounds. But I think I agree with what you're saying. If he really wants to win this, he needs to get in the kill zone in the first and second round, the second and third round at least, and not let Andre Ward win on points, because Andre Ward will win on points if Froch doesn't put the pedal on the metal at the very beginning.
That's the same with Andre Durrell, who we both thought beat Froch, and Froch got the decision when it was in England.
Yeah.
So hopefully he learned something from that fight, because they're two similar fighters. Durrell is as quick as they come. He's defensive. I think he might even be more offensive than Ward. Ward's got probably more power, but power's only good if you're throwing punches and you land something.
Yeah.
So if you cover up too much, I mean, you're not gonna score any points that way. You're not gonna hurt anybody either.
We'll see if it goes the fans' way. It'll last, and the last half of the fight will be really exciting, or it'll be.
What do you say? The last half, Froch chasing Ward.
Ward
backing up, counter punching.
But I think Ward's got enough to stay in there, and like he did with Arthur Abraham, and score points, and not score points, but do enough where Froch and just like Abraham, he didn't really get into the kill. I don't think he's going to be able to get into the kill zone like Durrell did.
Yeah, Andre Durrell. What happened to that guy?
Yeah, Andre. He's probably coming back, so he might fight the loser. But
Hopkins.
yeah, there you go, Hopkins. Who knows? But yeah, Super 6 again, it's coming up. It's on Showtime, and that'll wrap that whole program up. And hopefully they'll have some similar sort of tournament for other weight classes. So there's other good fights being put on, and we'll just have to wait and see. Are you guys excited about the fight, or is that, could you care less?